Today I thought I would tell you a story about one of the most simple infectious disease interventions, and that is hand washing and where that comes from. It's a really important story and a really tragic story set in the 1840s in Vienna. And it involves a physician named Ignaz Semmelweis and childbed fever. So what was childbed fever? That was when women who gave birth would end up getting sepsis, getting some type of infection, usually a strep infection, that would be fatal right after childbirth. And what Semmelweis recognized was that only certain women would get that type of infection, whereas others wouldn't. And what he recognized was that people who were delivered by physicians, women that were delivered by physicians, were more likely to get this than women who were delivered by midwives. And he also recognized that oftentimes the physicians were doing other things prior to the delivery, including doing autopsies or dissections. And one of the things that he started to understand, and this is just around the time the germ theory of disease is starting to come to fruition, is that one of his colleagues who did an autopsy and pricked his finger with a scalpel ended up getting symptoms very similar to childbed fever. And he thought maybe the cadaverous material that was in the cadavers was being transmitted on the hands of physicians into the maternity wards. And he recognized that maybe they could do something about that. So he suggested using chlorinated lime as a way to cleanse the hands of the cadaverous particles. He's not yet at the point where he's thinking this is a bacterial infection. He just knows there's something putrid, something bad that's in cadavers. And he institutes this, and you get a major result in terms of decreasing cases of childbed fever. So that's where hand washing comes in. But this is, again, at a time when the germ theory of disease isn't well accepted, and he is not welcomed with this. This news is not welcomed, and he is sort of ostracized. And he ends up kind of going insane over this because he's recognizing that physicians are causing harm to their patients. And that leads him eventually to go to a mental institution and die there. It's a really tragic story. There's a book called The Doctor's Plague that I recommend that talks about this. And I would also want to add one other point is that Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr., the father of the Supreme Court Justice, also saw similar things in the United States and published on it as well. But that's the story behind hand washing.